Hi everybody. Ignore the squeaking in my chair. I got my hair cut. What do y'all think? I got it shaved all the way around the back too. It's all nice and smooth and my hair feels weird touching the back of my neck. I slept with it braided last night. It worked out really well. It didn't touch me. I want to discuss intricately layered plots, which I kind of didn't realize I did, but I guess I do. I'm reading Priest again. When you're a pantser, the canon ends up being published, and all the little details that you put into the different documents to get to the canon contain little bits and pieces of what you put into the story. And one thing I have put into Thorn's Brew is the one to walk you to the lake and one to walk you home, which is very metaphorical. So if you notice with Aspen had Billy. And the feelings weren't there. Not as intense as they are with Claire. And in Priest, you have Ramon and Milo and Rumor. And Rumor is discussing how intense the feelings are when you're meant to be together. So the one to walk you to the lake for Aspen was Billy. But the feelings weren't there on Aspen's part. They weren't intense. They weren't demanding. They weren't all-encompassing. And he thought he had to do this. He pushed for this. And then he meets Claire and realizes that touching is a unique experience. And that is part of the world building. And then you get to Priest and you see the same sort of balance with Rumor and Ramon. And Ramon in the beginning of Priest is working to understand why Milo chose Lucy over him, especially if they were meant to be together. The connection was there, but then when he touches, he feels Rumor, it's almost home. He wants to make it home. And that's the key there. One to walk you to the lake and one to walk you home. So sometimes Monroe gives you the test drive. Sometimes you end up staying with the test drive. Sometimes there isn't a different one to walk you home. But with these particular characters, there is one to walk them home. And it just occurred to me because one of my critique readers, I guess, said that I had intricate plots. And these are part of the things that go into having an intricate plot. You add these little things and they're picked up throughout each story. And that's just one example. And the line, one to walk you to the lake and one to walk you home, is metaphorical, but at the same time, it's kind of literal, because you have that first boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other. You think everything fits, and it doesn't. And then you meet the one you're meant to spend the rest of your life with. In Shine On Me, which will be out August 8th. I am so very sorry for putting the TikTok video out for Hand Me Down Boys and it's saying August 27th when it's actually June 27th. The book is already out. Please, please, please get it. In Shine On Me, Indigo and Remy are having a conversation about past experiences with boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others. And in their case, it's all boys because they don't like girls. Some people are like that. But Geo told Indy that there were a lot of pit stops along the way, that you meet people that you hope is the last one, and they're not. You try and it just doesn't work out, which is more of a human, it's a human aspect than it is so much a paranormal one. And I tend to add a lot of that stuff in there. So I'll give you human nuances to go along with the paranormal stuff, which makes the story more real, and it hits home. Hopefully it hits home, and hopefully you get the sense of, oh, I know people like that. I want to write characters for you so that you know people like this and people like that and how that works. But my point is, those are little things that are layered into the world building for each story. In the Felidae clan, they don't want several different partners. They don't like it, because for them, being animal, they smell everything. And I heard a long time ago that each sexual partner you've been with leaves DNA with you, so that your next sexual partner has now been with your previous sexual partners. And that sort of struck in my head. So what if there's a scent attached to that? What if my characters can actually smell the layers of people and sexual partners that their love interests have had? And like with Jackson has been with everybody. Jackson actually enjoys it. Not everybody does. Scents matter, because elementals can't really smell. They don't pay attention to the scent. Animals, however, and if you notice this in real life, animals smell everything. So I added that in there. There's that layer of intricate world building added to the romance part of the Felidae clan. So it's not just, oh, this is where they live, this is how they do things, these are their laws and rules and regulations. But part of the world building is also sights, scents, smells, taste, touch, and trying to give my characters the aspects and attributes of creatures that I have created, and taking some of those things from the world that we live in. So I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit, and because it struck me as I'm sitting here reading Priest over. Priest is where things start to get complicated in Thornsbrew, and I want to make sure when I go into writing book 5, now that I have done book 4 of Albite, y'all have been waiting for book 5 of Thornsbrew, and it's been a bit. So I need to sit down and pull together all the stops and starts that I have for that, because I did sit down and tried to write it, and I had a stumbling block because I added another critique partner to my repertoire, and he sort of complained about Lou, and I get it. Lou was my first book. Lou has been through several generations. So if you read it the first time and you didn't like it, well, read the extended version because it's different a little bit. But he sort of picked things apart for me in a way that I could not process, which completely threw me out of Thorns Brew. It happens. We learn, we live, we have to move on. And so I sat down and wrote Graham at that point, just to try and get my feelings back together. That's how Graham came about, was just trying to get myself back together after hearing, and it wasn't the sex. No, it wasn't the sex. Anyway, so now I'm jumping back on Thorns Brew. I'm going to finish reading Priest to see where I got, because I have notes. I have several stops and starts for the next book. And as you know, we're getting ready to do the ball, and the magic has relented. So the dragons get released from their prison for this one night, sort of like Cinderella. But they get released from the prison for this one night and get the opportunity to, though I think I'm going to extend that so that they actually have time to develop a relationship. Because like Josh had his one to walk him to the lake, and Cyrus took him away. So now I've got to negotiate it so they either sink or swim. They get to the lake, they say their vows, or they don't, and then they get stuck back in the house. And that snoring behind me is Porthos. She's sleeping away on the bed in front of me, just snoring. So she's sleeping good. But anyway, I just wanted to let y'all know that. Let me know what you think of my hair, and I will talk to y'all later.